I know I should have learned. I make my own luck and all that. But my luck never seems to apply to my mode of transport.
When looking at something like a Tomb Raider level editor, I'm reminded that the tireless efforts that go into the work being done here is free. And that begs the question, how do you critique something you enjoyed for basically no financial gain from the artists creating it? And in fact, by making this video, I've benefited somehow by critiquing someone else's art that they made for free. Well, apart from asking the designer directly if I could talk about this, I'm also reminded that there are several ways to judge a game. Joseph Anderson had a similar thought in his Hollow Knight critique video, which you should also check out. To sum up why I'm saying all of this, and postulating on a point I heard another YouTuber mention ages ago, I would like to point out that the Tomb Raider level editors are custom maps that are made as free creative works, and that the engine that is being used to create these custom maps is far superior to the one released at base. The 10 engine is based on Tomb Editor, which is based on the Tomb Raider level editor that came out with the original Tomb Raiders 4 and 5. As a child, I played with these, but being only 9 when the first run released, it was a little bit much to get my head around. Now, as someone who's made games, not TRLEs specifically, but other games, and worked on game projects that I was paid for, when I talk about how I feel about a Tomb Raider custom map, I think it's important to emphasize that I downloaded this game for free, for my own enjoyment, and then seek to review it as a work of art. I would also like to substantiate that when I am saying this, I would like for you to keep one thing in mind. And that is, as a custom map, Hashep Oasis is near perfect, and stands as a shining example of the craft, not just in Tomb Raider custom maps, but also as a game that stands on its own. Any criticisms I may have beyond that need to keep this qualifier in mind. If you have a spare 3 to 4 hours, I highly recommend you play this game, and the link to download it will be in the description. It's absolutely worth your time, and I don't think you should watch this critique without experiencing it for yourself. If you like 3D action platformers and don't mind tank controls, or at best can tolerate them, then you're in for a fantastic little adventure with some endearing moments. When you hear gushing praise like this, you may have been surprised that the game was so short. But I'm a big believer that trying to bloat games for a longer playtime serves no purpose and ends up making something wondrous a chore. I will always push for a game to be as long as it needs to be, and I feel that's exactly what happened here. You're taken on a wonderful little adventure with a well-researched story that may be fantastical, but has inspirations and facts relating to our own world. This captures the magic of the original Tomb Raider games. Something the classic Tomb Raider games do fantastically well is have a magical world that feels grounded in reality, because of the locations and cultures explored. There were liberties taken, and some of those did not age well, but for the most part you could believe in the world Lara inhabits, existing in some capacity because of some loose associations to our own world. What I mean by this is that while the area the game takes place in is fantastical, there's a structural integrity to the Oasis. Everything feels as if it were built with purpose or naturally formed in a way that makes sense. My personal favorite is the last room of the game, where you use wind power to activate the machines, and if you look down into the pit, you can see where the columns of the temple used to connect to the bridged platforms. If you look for all of the secrets, you'll be greeted with text about each of the dinosaurs you encounter in the game itself. These are also placed in areas close to or directly after you meet them, giving you a small reward for searching while also teaching you about the dinosaurs. Something that made the autistic neurons in my brain activate. The fact that the developer went out of his way to contact Clint's Reptiles and Dino Guy for various information on species shows a level of love and dedication to creating a full experience I don't think I've seen elsewhere in TRLEs or gaming in general.
My favorite dinosaur is the Brachiosaurus. Don't tell anyone.
Each of the 4 dinosaurs you see are introduced in unique ways, either by environmental storytelling, with the beautifully crafted statues of the various dinos, or in my favorite case, as a shadow in the distance while climbing through the caves. I especially like that apart from the Deinonychus and Carcharodontosaurus, the other dinosaurs are not truly hostile, with only the Pachyrhinosaurus showing aggression defensively, but in one of the most heartfelt moments of the encounter with him, he tires himself out and falls asleep after being unintentionally helpful. The baby Spinosaurus are likely your first encounters with the dinosaurs in this area, and it's extremely cute, but it's also met with a rather sad inference that the skeleton of the larger Spinosaurus was their mother, and they are left alone to fend for themselves. All of the 3D models for the game were done by the designer, and they appeared to have worked tirelessly to make the dinos accurate representations of their historical counterparts, as well as crafting the animations as what I can only describe as a metric shit ton of work, as I have done similar things, and it is no small feat. The AI of most of the enemies is also great, and all the more impressive in my opinion because the AI movesets of all the enemies were stuff that already comes with the engine the game is crafted for, but I've never seen them work quite as flawlessly, with standout moments being the Deinonychus' ability to cross gaps and terrain similar to the ninjas that chase you in Tomb Raider 4. The Carcharodontosaurus acting like the T-Rex, but somehow also being able to take environmental damage from the spikes, which surprised me, as while it's known certain environments can kill enemies in the base games, but spikes are definitely not one of those. How the Carcharodontosaurus responds to the environment is something you'd expect to see in a modern indie game, and it works well. The Deinonychus have different death animations depending on if they are moving or not. While this is fantastic, it does lead to some jarring moments where the dinosaur is dead, but has to finish its animation before actually dying, which is a small nitpick, but it did bother me. This does, however, unfortunately tie into other animations having this issue, because even though Lara's animations are the same ones from Angel of Darkness that have been ported over, and they actually work far better in this game than they do in Angel of Darkness, but still have some moments where Lara feels floaty to control. Once again, this is a minor nitpick, but it could be argued that the floatiness complements the atmosphere. But I'm not that much of a pedant. Each dinosaur tells a story in how they were viewed in the lore of this hidden paradise, also seen in the murals as to how the people of this oasis cohabitated with their dinosaur counterparts. Every area tells a story, and the fact that your way into the temple was hidden behind a waterfall isn't lost on me. The area feels like a lost bit of history with a tribe of people living in this mystical oasis under the desert. The 10 engine has allowed for some truly stunning scenes, from dynamic opening cinematics giving the world a vibrant cel-shaded look, which has been used to the fullest extent by the creator Gecko. Each texture feels painted. A particular environmental highlight for me has to be the water and waterfalls, which have been given a seemingly seamless water texture, which blew my mind considering my only experience with Tomb Raider water before this was a very much tile-based water look. I will admit I'm a little biased here, I absolutely adore cel shading. When people talk about strong art direction, this is more or less what they're referring to, because the art isn't just stunning, it plays into the narrative being told, the inspiration for this little adventure being Jonas Darrow's Hashep Oasis, which is a Magic the Gathering card that reminds me of a time when wizards actually cared about their artists. As an environmental designer, Jonas stands among the top, so it would only make sense that an artist like Gecko would take inspiration from this work. Artists are constantly inspired by the other work that they see by other artists. The caverns are bright with overgrown vegetation, and the temples are mystical, technological, and use the environments to lead you through the adventure. Very similar to how Journey is structured, one aspect of an area leading into the next, where the puzzles feel baked into how the people here would have lived. An example of this being the light puzzle, where this room was clearly an homage to their history, so naturally they'd use light and crystals to enhance the display of their murals. I noticed there are no skeletons, so I'm hopeful these people were able to move on to a new area and are fine. However, I do find it sad that they left some of their dinosaur friends behind to fend for themselves, so maybe dying was the better outcome. before you encounter the puzzle involving getting the wind turbines to spin to activate the machinery in the final room. There's a jump scare bridge that attempts to blow you off, which caught me off guard on first playthrough. Oh god, it was windy. Holy shit. And maybe it was just a happy accident, but when it led into wind becoming a puzzle aspect, I was very impressed. Speaking of all this, I do believe this game has a strong similarity to another game, Prince of Persia 2008. Because on top of everything I've spoken of, this game has another feature I have yet to mention. Regenerating health. This is a bold choice. Health has always been an indicator for mistake allowance in the series, with med packs being a buffer to how many mistakes you can make. This is common across all games. Where Tomb Raider differs is that some of these sections are not your mistakes. Notably in Tomb Raider 2, where you have to fall from great heights and take damage, you're expected to have prepared for this limiting factor. Regenerating health means that the game is allowing you to recover from your mistakes given enough time. And time is a factor. Health only regenerates after a short duration. So with enemies that chase you down relentlessly, it escapes the first-person shooter regenerating health issue where you can just hide behind a block to regenerate before unloading more ammo into your enemy. And because of how the platforming and combat is structured, you can be a bit cheeky in dropping from massive heights to save time while Lara recovers like Wolverine. Which is fine. If anything, I enjoy a system that allows you to be a little bit cheeky in how I navigate the world. One of the ways which this is used very well is in fact the start of the game, where the scorching desert heat depletes your stamina and then health. You have to use the shade to recover. Using stamina as a resource is a stroke of genius because it limits one of Lara's moveset, the sprint, and you need to rely on jumping to move quickly instead.
How jumping uses less stamina than running? We'll let Lara keep her secrets on this one.
When it comes to Lara keeping secrets, however, she definitely doesn't in this game beyond that, given that there are several pickup voice lines, which gave me a good giggle playing through it.
Well, hello there.
Hello there.
The voice acting by Jess Lambert is superb, and the script writing was also very well done. Each of Lara's lines feels well delivered and natural, as well as a nod to a common criticism that she wipes out extinct animal species.
I really wish I hadn't gained the reputation of being a one-woman extinction event. But when it comes to my survival...
The voice actress brings everything together with the right amount of sass and fun, which makes this version of Lara Croft in this level editor feel alive.
The sound design is superb and features a completely original track done by the composer Dean, whose YouTube I will be linking below. There were fantastic cinematic and orchestral moments that had me headbanging to the beat excitedly. Alright, give me control. Let's go. As well as little moments like the track that plays with the baby Spinosaurus and the individual platform triggers on the cavern above, in which Lara suggests you should be careful. Because you see, while the 10 engine, which has been made tirelessly by many passionate people in the Tomb Raider level editor community, is a fantastic endeavor, the one problem I have with it is it doesn't solve the core issue that I have with a lot of Tomb Raider level editors, and that being the content. It's all well and good to have new tools available in terms of storytelling and aesthetic, but having the ability to climb on angled surfaces doesn't really fix the core problem I have, in that a lot of Tomb Raider leveled editors, at least for me personally, don't feel cohesive regardless of all the new things that are being added. This can also be seen in the fact that new moves, both in this Tomb Raider level editor and in ones prior to it, have had a rather detrimental effect on it, where I feel like some of the new moves actually inhibit the ability of the storytelling. I was not expecting to create any Tomb Raider content either now or in the new year, because I am quite frankly burnt out of the series and am also on vacation. Therefore, it was a complete shock to me that I was inspired to make this video based off watching a friend of mine actually play the game. I want to repeat that when I say this, I believe that artistic works have merit, but for myself, there are very few TRLEs that I have played because a lot of them don't speak to me, and being a game dev myself, I often judge a work based on the assumption that it is a game first and foremost, and not just a custom map. Much how I view Strawberry Jam in the Celeste series, Jedi Masters in Knights of the Old Republic, and the randomizer in Hollow Knight, and various other games. I feel it is a sin to view them as anything other than standalone creative works and a full game in its own right. But with that view comes the downside that I treat them as I would any game given for me to play. Up to and including people giving me codes to play their game for free and write feedback on those. I am passionate about game design, and while my own games lack the charm, I am aware of that. As did my first dip into artwork, concept art, and character design. We all take our own journeys. So when I say I cannot play the vast majority of Tomb Raider level editors, is not me saying that there's no merit in creating them. And there certainly are TRLEs out there which, even not in the 10 engine, have stuck out with me. But for an example of one that is fantastic but I wouldn't play, the Sabatu's Tomb Raider 1 and 2 remakes are fantastic, but they miss out on a key element that would keep me enjoying it personally. Making a game hard is not what makes it enjoyable to me, nor making secrets impossible to find if the reward for finding them is simply that you did. And I say this having 100%ed Celeste, which some would consider to be a very high skill ceiling thing to do. But that game had more to it than difficulty. The difficulty was part of the narrative. So please don't take this to mean that I do not like Tomb Raider level editors, just that on the whole they do not resonate with me. Why I'm saying this is just to drive home that there are factors working against me discovering this game, and the factors and expectations conducive to me not enjoying it. What I found here was something special that would not have happened if not for everyone in the level editor community learning and growing from each other, and certainly the work that stands on its own, but is also a testament to how the tools of the trade can be used to create greatness. You can give the average person the ingredients of a good culinary bowl, but it takes someone practiced to use those ingredients to the fullest to make a good meal. And that's what Hashep Oasis is, a very good meal. Thank you for watching, and Happy New Year.
Perfect. A ticket out of here. I do hope they have decent showers on board.